Now, the fight to stop HS2 from going ahead through the Chilterns in Buckinghamshire has stepped up a gear. 3 legal challenges are being launched this week to urge the government to rethink its decision to run a high-speed train line from London to Birmingham. 15 councils, including 6 from the 3 counties, they have launched a judicial review. Well, Thomas Crane from Buckinghamshire is director of the HS2 Action Alliance. Thomas, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us live on The Breakfast Show. So,
no problem.
We've mentioned a few councils there, but your particular group, you're also bringing up 2 more this week. So just explain the details on that.
Sure, that's right. We're bringing 2 further actions. One about the environmental implications of HS2, because we believe it to be an environmental disaster for communities up and down the entire route. And a second case on compensation, because what's happened since the announcement is lots of communities up and down the route have been really badly affected because the government has essentially said that folks that live near the route just have to stay in their houses and basically just wait for the line to be built in 20 years. And neither of those things are particularly lawful, we believe, and they're both worthy of a legal challenge. So we've essentially raised a huge amount of money in a very short period of time from ordinary people, and we're bringing these 2 challenges to court this week.
You say money there. Can I ask you how much money you've managed to raise?
Well, the exact amount is kind of still being clarified, but we needed, when we started this fundraising drive at the end of January, and we knew that the courts, the rules of the courts have is that we had to be in court by this week. So we had about 8 weeks to do it. And we knew we needed to raise over £200,000 in that period.
Over £200,000?
Yeah.
So you've managed to get that money. Now, clearly, that would say to me that people in Buckinghamshire are incredibly passionate about this, because if they weren't, they clearly wouldn't have raised that money for you.
You're quite right. It's incredible. I mean, the campaign overall has gone up a gear since the announcement day. I think a lot of people hoped it would just go away. The government would see sense because most people know how flawed this scheme is. But instead, obviously, with the government wanting to press ahead, people are just so upset and angry about what's going on and essentially want to help the campaign and get involved in the campaign and try and oppose this thing in the courts and elsewhere.
We've got some text to come on this in just a second, but
sure.
What would you say to anybody who is screaming at the radio right now saying, for goodness sake, £200,000 in the current climate, it's a lot of money, the government have said this is going to go ahead, you're just wasting your time, you should just keep quiet. What would you say to those people?
Well, I think that's just totally wrong. I mean, I think the governments down the years have proposed all kinds of stupid things, and with communities coming together, uniting and pushing back and saying this isn't right, this isn't going to happen, those proposals have been overturned. I mean, we just look at things like Heathrow or Stansted expansion are great examples where local communities said, I don't think this is a very good idea. And as a result of that and opposition, the government had to change their mind. And this is exactly the same situation here. We have, a very strong legal case to bring, and I think it's very important that the courts get to hear this case.
Well, let's take a look at some of the texts this morning that people are sending through. Kathy in Arsley supports it and said, I'd rather my money be spent on preventing HS2 than on cutting up the countryside on a white elephant that saves only 20 minutes on a journey, and the money for HS2 would be better spent on improving roads and broadband services, enabling more people to work from home, says Kathy. There will be people who are listening this morning, though, who aren't against HS2. We need to put this point in here. It's not just the government, but it will grow business. It claims that it will cut journey times, and really it will regenerate a lot of business and a lot of companies, which at this moment in time, isn't, Thomas, this is what this country needs? Exactly,
this is what this country needs, and that's why we're opposed to HS2, because it doesn't deliver those benefits. This country obviously needs particularly jobs, and what HS2 is particularly bad at creating jobs. HS2's own figures say that the first stage will only create 30,000 jobs over 30 years. That's a dreadful return for £19 billion. I think really what we're looking at is that money which is going to be spent on HS2 could be put to such better use if we really are serious about making our economy better and growing more jobs.
And the thing is, Thomas, that you firmly believe that you will win this fight. Going back a few months ago, I was actually in Buckinghamshire the day of the decision. Again, the feeling was incredibly strong. You've only got to go through somewhere like Wendover to see all the banners there. People thought, OK, the government have said yes, it's a done deal. But you and your group and your campaigners, you firmly believe still that HS2 won't actually go ahead.
Well, we believe that we have to campaign against it and make the powerful case for things like those jobs numbers and just a really poor return that HS2 creates. And, people can sign up to our campaign at HS2ActionAlliance.org, and we have thousands of supporters. And those supporters are not just from Buckinghamshire, but all over the country. And that's because if people just take a second to look at the basic business case around HS2 and the environmental damage it causes, most people think, goodness, this is not a good use of money. We really should oppose this.
Is it a good use of taxpayers' money, though, to mount these campaigns? I mean, in the time when cuts are being made to frontline services in councils, is the best way to spend council taxpayers' money in order to try and stop High Speed 2 from happening?
I think so. The dislocation to the county in particular, if HS2 goes ahead, will be significant to schools, to community groups, to people just living in their houses. And it won't just be focused on those areas immediately next to the line. It will be all over the county.
How will it have an effect on community groups?
Essentially, you were going to have something similar to a land take for a 4-lane motorway going right to the middle of the county. That will split the county in half. It'll be very difficult for lots of ordinary activities to carry on. And most particularly, the amount of construction traffic, noise, etc., will be felt really far and wide, I think, rather than just in those areas where the line actually is going to go.
Thomas, many thanks for talking to us this morning and putting your points of view across. Thomas Crane from Buckinghamshire, Director of HS2 Action Alliance.